And this is my wife, her name is Zanmini. So we're going to do a few songs in different languages since there are so many different linguistic groups present here. So we'll do one in English, we'll do a Hindi song, we will do a Malayalam song, we'll do a Tamil song, and then we will do an instrumental song for those who cannot understand all these languages. So. Greater than that. And I want to challenge the Indian parents here. Even though you have come to the US, a lot of the time, your mindset of Indian parenting has not changed. You have carried that. And I'm telling you not again, my wife, she comes from the northeast part of India, that is literally the end on one side, where Nagaland borders Myanmar or Burma. So that's the end. And then she's going to sing a Tamil song, which is the southern tip of South India. That's the farthest you can go. After that you go into the sea and then you reach Sri Lanka. So that's the distance, you know, and there is nothing in common between the northeast and Tamil Nadu. Nothing in common except the black hair. Only recent times people started to color the hair and now even that is gone. But the only unifying factor in our country is our hair, because it's black for everyone, regardless of what color you come from. But you see, if she could kind of master this song, you know, Well, we always have to be very careful by saying mastering a song, because there's always a potential for someone to find some mistake. But it's amazing when I've heard people come and say, if I close my eyes and listen, this would be exactly like a Tamilian singing. That's wrong. Life is about fulfilling the purpose of what God has created us for. The song is called One Moment in Time Can Change Your Destiny. It's a very powerful song, even though the song was mainly written for athletes. When we look at our lives, we have learned truly that one moment in time can change your destiny forever. Because today people ask us, how could you achieve and do things the way you've done? Like for example, my wife, the reason why she could not complete her studies, she was 7 years old when she was raped for the first time in her life. And then she was 9 when she was raped again by a married man with 3 children. And when she was 13, She was on her way to school when a 30-year-old man started to stalk her. And one day, as she was walking to school with her mother, this 30-year-old man held her hand and pulled towards her mother and said, "I want to marry your daughter." She was only 13 and he was 30 and he was high on drugs. Fear gripped her, she went into a trauma, she went and locked herself in the house. The fear of what if she would be raped again, or what if something worse happens. And for her, her entire life came to an end. Again, as I told you, from the Indian culture, if you can't even finish a basic high school, you have no future in your life. And in 2002 is when she had that encounter with Jesus. One moment in time that changed her life forever. She had an encounter with Jesus Christ, and that brought a complete transformation in her life. And she started to walk with the Lord with the hope of a better future. And that brought the transformation and the gift that God gave her to sing and to glorify His name. She's not a trained musician, but she is a gifted musician from God. And many times we do things based on a tradition, based on something that's been taught and told. But very rarely we do things based on conviction. And I really hated God because I felt God was so unfair. My younger brother and 3 sisters, they were highly talented, good looking, very good in studies, good at everything. And I was this odd guy in the family who did not fit into any category. Neither could I sing nor play any instruments. I could not study well. I asked too many questions. And I could not progress forward in anything. The only good thing that I was good at was something that I'm not proud of. Was I was very good in forging signatures, because I did so bad that my parents refused to sign my paper. So I signed my father's signature, and then they asked me for my mother's signature. So I mastered my mother's signature and I signed my mother's signature. I was very successful. Now my parents were concerned, so they said, "Get the signature from your principal." So I signed my principal's signature and I mastered that too. I was so good that I was never caught, till one day, the 3 of them, my father, my mother and my principal, just accidentally came together and I got caught when they discussed together. But this is who I was. I was a guy with no value, no health, and medically the doctors had given me 6 months to live when I was 16, with having gone through a lot, where I was given high dosage of cortisone steroids from the age of 2 to the age of 16. And as a result of that, 60% of my lungs got damaged, my immune system broke down. I developed rheumatoid arthritis. And by 16, the doctors gave me 6 months to live. So for me, why should I even live any longer in this world when I'm not talented, when I'm not equipped, when I'm useless? And my father's an aerospace scientist. And being the firstborn, I was expected to carry his legacy. Even though medically you can't prove that every firstborn son has the same brains like the father, somehow the Indian culture thinks that it is possible. I struggled with this, all these expectations that were there. And you know, the Indian system is built on comparison. They compare you to the milkman's children, the bus driver's children, you know, the bus conductor's children, the Uber driver's children. They just keep comparing and comparing and comparing. First, they put the standard so high that you cannot reach, and the next thing you are compared. So seeing all these factors in my life, I wanted to kill myself. At 16, I decided to quit life. And it was in a youth camp at 16 is when I heard an audible voice of Jesus Christ. And I heard Jesus say, "Betty, even though you are called useless, I want you." I still remember when I was in North Korea, I was invited by the government of North Korea to represent India. It was an official event of the 100th birth anniversary of the founder Kim Il-sung. So I got caught because I was sharing my testimony to these two spies who were there, the two translators that were there. So they went and informed that Benny is not a musician, but actually he is a missionary. So I was taken to the official, I was interrogated, I started to share my story, and the official told me one thing. He said, Benny, how can you say that you heard the voice of Jesus? It could have been your own imagination. I told him, sir, my own imagination told me to kill myself. It has to be the voice of Jesus Christ. And today I want to tell you that one moment in time with Jesus has changed and transformed our lives. So much so that God has given us the grace, the strength, and the power to be useful, even though both of us were written off by the society, by circumstances, by educational world, and so on and so forth. For me, it really took that conviction when I was 16. And for my wife, it took that conviction when she was in 2002, when she gave her life to Jesus. The next song, One Moment in Time Can Change Your Destiny. Even though this song can talk so much about life from the angle of an athlete, I just want to tell you that if you have never ever had an encounter with Jesus, I would highly recommend. I've seen a lot in my life. I'm 44. I've traveled the world, been to places, venues, but I'll tell you the best gift that I can ever give to anyone is the gift of having a personal relationship with Creator God. That's amazing. Because there are so many religions in the world. Most religions would talk about an infinite God without being personal. Or you would talk about a finite God being personal. But Christianity is the only religion which talks about an infinite God, and yet you can have a personal relationship. It's incredible what God could do. So, stay and live. I want to be a day to give the best of me. I'm only one, but not alone. My finest day is yet unknown. I broke my heart, fought every game to test the sweet. I faced the pain. I rise and fall, yet through it all, this much remains. I want one moment in time when I'm more than I thought I could be, when all of my dreams never guessed from where to where can a broken life be taken. My dream was to go to one country, that's all. The Bible worked in two ways for me. One, I learned how to speak in English because of the Bible. Because I studied in a Hindi medium school, everything was in Hindi, geography was in Hindi, history was in Hindi. Thankfully English was in English, but everything else was in complete Hindi actually. And I could not understand what was happening with my life because I could not comprehend what was happening in school either. So, with that kind of a situation, English was not something that I learned how to speak. When your first language was all in Hindi. But I'll tell you, when I gave my life to Jesus, one of the things that I really wanted to do was to communicate. And for that, I need to have a proper language. So I prayed and I asked the Lord to help me learn how to speak in English so that people can understand. And so reading the Bible helped me to learn English. Two is the maps behind in the last row in the Bible had these missionary journeys of Paul, and I was fascinated with Paul, how he traveled, and I loved those maps. And one day I asked the Lord, God, what is your dream for my life? We all know that God has great plans for us. We don't mind putting that Jeremiah 29:11 as a nice sticker. No, I know, for I know you have plans not to harm me but to prosper me. All these are nice bumper stickers, designer items. But do you really believe that God has a plan for you and your family? Now, don't wait till you fail and then say God has a plan. No, even when you pass, God has a plan. But I want to tell you that where is God in your decision making? And here, I remember 2002, I asked the Lord, what is your dream for my life? I've given my life to you, and I've started to play the guitar when I was 19. So I asked the Lord, what do you want me to do? And he said, Benny, I want you to travel to every country in the world by 2010. I said, God, this is an impossible task. One, because I'm a YWAM missionary. And in YWAM, we live by faith. Nobody gets a salary. We all live by faith. And I used to get about $25 a month. And the Lord gives me this vision saying, I'm going to take you to every country in the world. And I said, God, where will I get the money? Somehow we allow money to be our final, ultimate decision maker. Anything that we want to do, immediately we want to just allow money to make that decision. And I asked the Lord, what do you want me to do? He says, I want you to travel to every country in the world. I said, God, look at my dad. He's an aerospace scientist. He has been to 2 countries. Look at my mother, 34 years of serving as the assistant director of FIBA Radio. She's been to 2 countries. And I said, look at me, God, I'm a high school dropout. I can't even sing. I just play an instrumental guitar. Is it really possible? Because I said, everything in me says it is impossible. God says what is impossible for man is possible for me. These are nice designer verses. We have no problem in making mugs out of it, putting on our cars. But my question is, do you really believe that what is impossible for man is possible for God? When I say believe, you have to act. Believing without acting is meaningless, pointless. So do you really believe? So I put my faith. I said, okay, God, if this is what you want me to do, I will obey you. But I just want to tell you, I just have $25. I said, I have $25. I have a passport with 2 rejected stamps, one from USA and one from UK. And I told him, look at my health, God. I was hit by a javelin at the age of 12. I have a problem with my spine. I cannot sit in a position for more than half an hour. Every morning for me to get out of bed is a painful experience. And you're telling me to travel the world. I told God that requires sitting on a chair for hours and hours and hours. I'm just giving every possible reason why this is not possible. Michael Jackson, nor Mariah Carey, nor Shakira, nobody has traveled to every single country on this earth. And God says, I'm going to create history out of your life. I said, okay, God, I had these 4 financial commitments, which till today, I've kept that. I will never ask for money. I will never borrow money. I will never take a loan from the bank or trust the credit card. These were my 4 financial principles. I've lived within my means. Never gone beyond my means. Never, not even once. Like there was a time I did not have money for lunch. I skipped lunch for 2 months, but I would never borrow money to have lunch. I was very careful. And again, this is my story. Please do not imitate me. You might starve to death. Just obey what God is asking you to do. I am just a human. But this was my life. So I started off my journey like this. God said, I will provide for you. So you can show the world map on the screen, please, and I will show you how my own strength. So that is how God took me to all these nations to perform. And even times of like Antarctica, when I booked my tickets to Antarctica, I did not know what will I do there. All I know is God has told me to travel to every country. So this passport is very precious. I am not required to carry all of these, but I choose to carry it. And because it's part of my testimony. And my favorite part of carrying this passport is at the immigration desk. You must see the facial expression of the officer. It's just priceless. Generally they don't smile, they're supposed to be very serious. And then when you put a passport like this on the table, they are confused. So imagine a combination of being confused and being serious. And some of the smart ones would say, sir, don't come as a family, come one person at a time. And then I tell them that I am this one person. They are shocked, literally shocked. They would say, where did you get the money to travel the world like this? They could not comprehend it. It's impossible for them to imagine how. Sometimes they would look at my bank balance. They cannot understand, with so little money, how did you even end up traveling like this? Sometimes I have to submit my bank statements for my visas, and they cannot comprehend. Till the fact that they would, I still remember when I went to apply for my Liberian visa, the ambassador, he looked at me. I was taken to the ambassador's office because they saw my passport, they cannot comprehend, so I was sent to the ambassador's office, and the ambassador said, so how did you travel like this? And I said, God provided. He said, truly, it has to be Jesus. I said, you're right. He said, can you please pray for me before you leave? Imagine the ambassador asking you to pray. Because he knows, being an Indian, being a musician, having no income, traveling the world, it will and must take a miracle. And God provided every bit to travel to every corner of the earth, north, south, everything, and amazing ways that God could really connect. Connections, He is the master. For example, I needed to go to the Arctic Circle near the North Pole. I asked my friends, do you know anyone there? And they cannot understand. They'll say, Benny, this is not a place you can look for contacts. No, just like, I'm just looking for contacts. Nobody knows anyone. And I'm telling God, how do I go and perform in the Arctic Circle? I'm sitting in the aeroplane. I'm flying from Faroe Islands to Denmark. As I'm sitting, there was a lady sitting next to me. Her name was Sophia. We started to talk and I asked her, where are you from? And she said, from Greenland. I said, oh, I remember, I was in Greenland. And I started to talk about my experience in Greenland. And then I said, by any chance, do you know anyone in the Arctic Circle, in a place called Longyearbyen in Svalbard, above Norway? She said, I am the bishop of Greenland, and the Arctic Circle comes under my jurisdiction, and there is a Lutheran church over there, and the pastor's name is Leif, Just tell me what you want, I will get everything fixed for you. We are still in the plane. As soon as we landed in Denmark, she called up Leif and said, Ben is my friend, just do whatever he wants. Everything was done. Fixed my accommodation, fixed a concert there. They call that church as the uttermost part of the earth. Literally, nothing beyond that actually. And everything was organized in such an amazing manner. And all it took was to take the right airline and sit next to the right person. And there was a contact there. So God really orchestrated all these things in such an amazing way. I still remember going to Somalia. If you're recording this, please delete this video or pause it for security reasons. Instrument called the pan flute. Before I end by playing this song called My Tribute, you see, at the peak of my career, 2012, I had reached the peak when I had been to 257 countries. My last country was South Sudan, which was 6 days old when I landed there. And having gone to all these countries, I had nothing left to conquer in terms of traveling. And at the peak, I went back to Jesus and I said, God, I really want to know what is your will for my life. You see, when you're at the rock bottom part, you need God. When you're at the peak, you also need God. It's not just when you have nothing. When you have everything, it becomes difficult. You have to be intentional to seek and ask God, what is His will? So when I asked the Lord in 2012, what do you want me to do next? I have no countries left. And that's when God told me to go back to Bangalore and to build a very special cafe called Chai 316, which is a 400-seater cafe. You can show the... And we are dealing with young boys and girls from the educated world who don't want to live. India has a very high rate of suicide. 10% of the suicides in Bangalore is between the age group of 10 to 14. The rate of pressure is so high. And you know, one of the reasons, once we have been running this for 4 years, and when we noticed few reasons why young people want to kill themselves. The way young people have started to dream openly, they know that things can happen in an unconventional way. And many times when they're forced to be in one place and when their heart is not there, they've ended up into wrong relationships, ended up into substance abuse, self-harm, and finally ending up committing suicide. So God told to build a very special cafe, a completely non-commercial cafe. And it's a large cafe, it's a 400-seater cafe. So, because we don't charge anything, and I said, how are we going to really sustain? And God said, no, I will provide. And God provided everything that was needed to build a facility. Now it's been 4 years that we have been running this. Our goal is 80% listening and 20% talking. The longest one sitting session we had was 8 hours when a depressed engineering student walked in at 11 in the morning and left at 7 in the evening for 2 months. Every week we rescue one young boy or a girl from committing suicide. Sometimes they have even tied their ropes in their rooms to commit suicide, and they've come to the cafe to have the last cup of chai. And by God's grace, we are able to rescue one life at a time. A very unique idea, a strategy to reach out to people suffering with mental health that God gave us. And today we are able to impact lives. So if God can do that with ordinary people, He can do amazing things with your education, with your plans, with your goals in life. But put God first in your life. And this instrument I learned to play when I was invited to play at the Paralympic Games in London in 2012. Thank you. Thank you.
So listen to our hearts, hear our spirit sing, a simple song of praise from those who have redeemed. We will use the words we know to tell you what an awesome God you are. The words are not enough to tell you of our love, so listen to our hearts. Your words could fall like rain from these lips of mine. And if I had 1,000 words to speak, Lord, I would still run out of time. So if you listen to my heart, every bit will say, thank you for the life, thank you for the truth, thank you for the way. So listen to our hearts, hear our spirit.